you a comedy fan? If so, you have this man to thank for developing countless comedians and comic actors over the years. He was a big influence on such comedians as John Belushi and Bill Murray. His name is Del Close. Del is currently involved with Cross Currents Cabaret, where teams of performers participate in The Herald, an improvisational game created by Del himself.
I hate the name Herald. It was named Herald without any collusion or approval of mine, but they said, why don't you change the name? Well, we can't change the name. It's why don't I change my name? My name is Del. Its name is Herald. What goes into Herald? Well, everything we know about improvisation basically reduced to three elements. Monologues, which have not been getting enough usage recently, so I urge you to pay attention to monologues, very nicely spaced through the work. Monologues, scenes, just like they do at Second City, 2 or 3 people scenes, in which the primary concern is the interrelationship between the people, in which we're going to find out what these people are up to, and large improvisational games involving all the people who are on stage at the time, which is anywhere from 5 to 11, I think, is probably about as big a spread as we want to go.
The Herald itself is 19 years old and was born out of necessity when Del was with the improvisational group, The Committee.
It began as a way to get all of the professional improvisational performers in the committee all on stage at the same time, all improvising together at the same time. Now, I'd been in a lot of improvising companies before I took over as director of the committee in 1967, Summer of Love, with Charlie Manson just down the street. It was everybody's hair was very long. Everybody was sharing everything. And everything that was done in large groups. You know, sex, theater, politics, the whole thing, big bunch of people. So my idea of an improvising company was to get the whole bunch of people out there and find some sort of form or structure whereby we could all play at the same time. Not just one person out there doing a monologue and 3 people doing a scene that they'd been, you know, improvising and re-improvising, basically rehearsing in front of an audience for weeks. I wanted to really show that we could create art by committee. I really hate it when I run into a cultural thing that says, well, you can't think together as a group as well as you can as an individual. So art is an individual undertaking, so you might as well just not even try. No, art is possible by committee, and at the committee as well. A whole bunch of people can go out and improvise stuff that looks like theater. Basically, all you need is some traffic patterns and some game rules and some kind of image of what it is that you're going to do. And it turned out to be Herald. We send about between 5 and 11 people on stage. We get one suggestion from the audience, and then we play some sort of improvisational game where we take this single suggestion like God or laundry or cardboard, and we're not going to do a long improvisation about God or cardboard. We're going to use this suggestion to be inspired by. So
seeing the Herald is unlike any experience you've had before.
And we use 4 improvisational games, 9 scenes in groups of 3s, and a minimum of 3 monologues, and that is it. That's Herald. We do this opening game, then we'll do scenes, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, and then another improvisational game, using, of course, the theme of the improvisation. Then the next step of the 3 scenes that we invented first time around. Scene 1B, scene 2B, scene 3B. Then another improvisational game, and by this time the scenes are beginning to interrelate, to be affected by each other, to mirror each other, to rhyme with each other in some sort of mad conceptual way. And as we see this beginning to happen, we blend it all together into some sort of extravagant musical finale, and then the audience stands up and cheers. Now in this, of course, in this undertaking, well, they are more likely to if you call this a game or a sport than if you call it theater. I suspect that what we're really doing is some kind of performance art here, but I sure as hell wouldn't want to say that in public. It goes over a lot better as a sport. For one thing, we're not going out and bothering the audience. We're playing the game basically for our own sake. I mean, it's so complex and you have to pay so much attention that to start, you know, like trying to entertain the audience with jokes at the same time is kind of like a fruitless undertaking. And what the audience laughs at and indeed will cheer at, as you guys have seen, are these moments of discovery, moments of connection where the art by committee, the group brain really does start functioning. And we see amazing kinds of communication going on between people. Like I've done this, of course, myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten hooked on it.
The Herald performers have a unique relationship with one another on stage.
Nothing that we say to each other is innocent of emotional manipulation. Everything that we do on stage is to affect each other in some way. And if we notice very carefully how those swine we're working with are trying to get to us and get at us, sometimes I suggest that we perform on stage as though we're a whole bunch of raving paranoids. That this paranoid adjustment, yeah, nothing that I hear is going to be simple. Nothing that you say to me is going to be accepted at face value. Oh, it always means something else.
Rather than mold everyone the same way, Del prefers it when the improvisers grow as individuals, however unusual they may be. Bill Murray's brother Joel is one example.
I mean, we got some real oddballs in this work. And I think that we should all develop our own, rather than to become the ideal Herald performer, develop our own peculiarities. One of the things about Joel Murray that this work did for him was that he became the most effective Joel Murray that he could be.
Unlike at Second City, where Del spent many hilarious years, the Herald at Cross Currents consists of people acting like themselves most of the time.
We hardly ever play characters, because we realize perfectly well that all the characters that we play are really subsets of ourselves. They're just ourselves in slightly different moods, ourselves carrying a little more emotional freight, a different bunch of emotional freight that we normally carry. Back to how important emotions are, and the small ones, the smallest, teeniest, weeniest emotional discovery that's real beats the hell out of the biggest one that's phony. And that's why our audience, I think, is so much on our side, is they want us to succeed. They have this sporting, they're cheering us on. They see us doing something well, making a hip discovery. It's like they're giving us body English. Go, make it. They're definitely on your side. It's not an antagonistic relationship to the audience where the comedian comes out and makes the audience laugh. No, we're going to do something in the presence of the audience. It's an inductive thing. We draw them along with us.
Just as a great musician learns from other great musicians, Del learned a lot from watching other great improvisers.
Most of the things that I'm going to be laying on you were not invented. They were observed. I saw the best improvisers in the country working for many years. What were they doing? Well, I'm not bad in the analysis department. I would analyze it, figure it out, and pass it on to other people and do it myself.
So if you enjoy sophisticated and funny entertainment, come to Cross Currents Cabaret at the corner of Belmont and Wilton in Chicago and see The Herald, the brainchild of Del Close, a truly original and influential genius of improvisational comedy.
Welcome to Video Cuisine. I'm Jean Kelbel, and I'm sitting with Roberta Rapata, who is the founder of Bologna's. It's located in Barrington on Main Street, right next to the Cat Low Theater. It is by far the friendliest, most sincere restaurant I've ever been in. Tell us, how did you get the idea to start Bologna's?
I worked in restaurants and my partner ate in them. We both pretty much knew, what people wanted, and we felt like we could serve them.